Welcome to Real IQ. In this video, I am going to show you how to install Cockpit, CasaOS and Tailscale in your home server. This video is continuation of my previous video where I showcase how can you create home server under 50 bucks. You can find the link up here. I am also going to show you how you can set up RAID configuration the easiest way with Cockpit, and I will also show you how to set up Docker container for beginners in CasaOS. So let's get started. So I've already SSH'd in my server here. You can see it's my server, and the first thing you should be doing is sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade, secret password, okay, yes. Okay, so the update and upgrade command is done. So to install Cockpit, you just need to say sudo apt install Cockpit. So I've already installed Cockpit, so it might be quick. In your case, you might need to say yes. Okay, so it says it's already installed. So now in order to look the Cockpit in web browser, you need to know the IP address. So you can just say IPA and you can find out your IP address. In my case, it's Ethernet, so you can find out my IP address somewhere here. Okay, so I'll be using this IP address, and by default it's going to be port 9090. I'll just clear everything here. Let's open up the browser. Okay, it's going to be 192.168 and port is going to be 9090. So when you open it first time, it's going to show something like this. Since I'm opening it in incognito, you can see the same thing here. And you need to say proceed with unsafe. Ideally, you should not do that if you are using any machine which is not on your local network. In this case, this machine, it's in my local network, that's why I'm proceeding. If you are using any machine which is publicly available, you should not do that, and you should never expose port 9090 or any other port within the machine if you are beginner. So let's proceed with unsafe. Okay, so here you need to provide your username and password which you have used for the server. In my case, I'll just use the username as is and I'll write down the password and see you in the next screen. Okay, so after you logged in, you should be able to see at the top turn on administrative access. So if you want to do any kind of administrative task, you should be turning on administrative access. And again, you have to provide your root password or your sudo password in this case. Okay, once you are authenticated, you should be able to see administrative access here. You can see some system information, configuration, all those things. So why you should use Cockpit, if that's your question in the first glance looking at it. So since we are using Ubuntu server, we don't have a graphical interface. So Cockpit will give us basic information. It's very good. Let's say if something goes wrong within your machine, you should be able to see what goes wrong here. You can see alerts, you can see emergency, you can see all the errors you have. You can also see all the warnings you have. So you should be able to see everything, and you can change the configuration here, last 24 hour, boot, last 7 days, all the logs you can access it from here. So it's very good entry point. If you have any problem, you should be able to figure out by just looking at the logs. As far as the application goes, we currently have default application, network and storage. There are third-party applications available. You can go to Cockpit official website and find out about that. If you want to do software update, you can do it from here. I think there are some line of command you have to run. Again, it's there in the official website. I'll do it later on. I'm not planning to update it from here anyways. If you want your terminal access, you can do it from here. Now let's look into the RAID configuration. So if you have not seen my previous video, I tried to do the RAID configuration, which didn't actually work as the initial boot sequence. And the problem was I didn't actually format my drive. So that was like pretty silly mistake here from my side. So as you can see right now I have a RAID configuration and I'm using RAID 1. I have 2 terabyte drives, 2 of them, and I'm using them as a RAID configuration. So since I already uploaded my data, I'm not going to format the drive for you, but I'll show you the step how you should be doing it. So anything you will see in your drive, you can just go here and do delete. Once you do that, it will be said unformatted data somewhere here instead of mRAID. Same goes here. If you delete the drives, okay, it should say unformatted, and again you can delete the RAID configuration if you have tried that. So once you are done with both the drives, where you should be able to see unformatted here, you can go here at this 3 bar, click on that, and you can say create RAID. So here you can mention the name, any name is fine. You can just say RAID pool if you want. Okay, the default will be ideally good, so you can just say, let's say RAID 01, something like this. So there are certain RAID level available. Ideally RAID 0 it's not that useful in our case. RAID 1, which is mirrored copy, where you have mirrored data on both the drives. So if one of the drive goes bad, you can still use another drive as a data. RAID 4, where you have a dedicated parity drive. So let's say you have 4 drives in total. One of the drive is a parity drive. So if you lose one of the drive out of 4 drive, you can still use other 3 drive. So that's, you can lose up to 1 drive. And as you go above the RAID 5, RAID 6, RAID 10, all of this thing, there are different configuration based on what you are looking for. In our case, I'll be looking for RAID 1 and I can just do create here. Okay. Right now you can see there are no disk available since I've already used all of them. But in your case, you will be looking at the disk. So you just click both the disk and do create. That just simply create the RAID configuration. So initially what it will do, it will sync the data between both the drives. So while it's syncing, it takes, for me at least, it took around like 4 or 5 hours. It might take longer based on the size of the hard drive. Once the whole sequence is done, you can just format the drive. Okay. So if you do format here, there are certain things you need to provide. First one, it's a data. Second one, it's a mount point. Then type of your drive, and then you can just format the drive. Okay. So most important thing here, the mount point. I will show you how this mount point is generated and logic behind it. So for now, how to format, we just skip this part, and after I install CasaOS, I will show you how you can mount the drive easily. So I'll do cancel here. So for the second step, we need to do CasaOS installation. And CasaOS installation, it's very easy. I prefer CasaOS or Portainer if you want to do that as well, because both of them are pretty good at serving the Docker container. Especially the CasaOS has very beginner friendly interface, and I will show you why. So first step you should be doing, it's open up your CasaOS website, so which is casaos.zimaspace.com, and here you should be able to find your line of command which you will run. So you just simply just do copy. That command is copied now, and you just run this command on your terminal. I have already run that command, but you can just go to your terminal here and do run here, Ctrl+Shift+V, and just run the command. In my case, and again it will ask for a password, and it takes around like 10 minutes based on your system as well. But it will install everything. Once it's done, it will give you your IP address where you can access the CasaOS. Okay. In my case, I am not going to do that. I'll just show you how the interface looks. So by default, CasaOS will be running on port 80. So if you just open up your IP address, that should give you the CasaOS login interface. I'll just log in and show you how the interface will look. Okay, so that's how the initial interface will look. You can see actual AM PM time. You can switch it here. You can see the actual system configuration. Currently I have around 10 GB of RAM. As you can see, it's only showing the boot drive. Since we are using the RAID configuration, it does not showcase here. So how you can actually format your RAID data and use it. So in order to do that, you go to files, you go to root directory, and again this is your root directory of your server, and inside the mount, that's where you will be mounting your drive, or you can mount it anywhere since Linux is very folder wise system. So everything is folder in Linux. You can open up the mount here and you can just create a new folder. In my case, I've created folder named data. So you just need to do /mount/data. So if you go to your storage here, okay, click on 3 dots, format. You provide the name of your pool or your RAID device in this case, and then you can just provide the actual mount point. In our case, / which is your root directory, then mount, which is our folder, and inside mount we have the data. Okay. So once you do that, format and mount, that will format and mount the data here. So inside the data, you can now decide what to create. I have created one folder which is media, and it's shared folder, so which I can access within my network. And again, this is like very general purpose folder, so people can or my roommates can drop movies, music, series, whatever they want to drop it in here, and we all can share that by just going to any of the folder. Again, we'll be using Jellyfin and Audiobookself for that, but for now you can create folders and you can drop in your stuff however you like it. So that's your CasaOS interface, and that's your Cockpit interface. I have gone through everything very quickly because I don't want to take as much time showing you this one, because eventually for each application I will show you how each application works, and I will obviously create separate video where it's needed, just to get a better reach and just to get easier installation. So when it comes to CasaOS, you can go to App Store and you can find out majority of applications here. I personally prefer, let's say if I want to install Audiobookself, instead of just doing install, I personally prefer custom install. Why? Because now you can decide where your data is stored, right? And I will show you in detail. So let's say since we open up the Audioshelf, I'll show you what you need to do there. So I'm going to stay with this port. You can change a port here as well. First thing first, ideally you can see the latest and stable version. You can select the latest version, and the latest version is going to be again like 2.25, whatever version was showing there. This is your name of your container. This is your actual Docker image from where the actual Docker image will be pulled there. This is your icon. You can, if you want to change an icon, you can just provide the link of that icon. So container port in most of the case will be port 80. Since Docker is more containerized application, anything which is within the Docker, ideally it will be port 80 unless they have changed it in their configuration. Host port, you will be deciding what you want to put there. So in our case, let's say if I want to change it, let's say I would say for Audioshelf, I want to access it on port 2000. Okay, I have to change port 2000 in both of the way. Now I can access Audiobookself at port 2000. Now few thing here, it automatically detects few of the configuration here. So metadata will store your metadata of this particular Docker. Configuration will store your configuration. Podcast will have your podcast, and audiobooks will have your audiobooks. Okay. Now, if you see here, it's the default configuration: data/app data, app ID, and config. Okay. So what it will do, I'll just open up another CasaOS here. So if you go to files, within your app data, again inside your root you have app data. Inside your root you have data, and inside the data you have app data. If you open up app data, now this line of code will automatically detect the name of the app, which is Audiobookself in this case. It will create configuration for config folder, and it will create metadata folder. Since we want to take audiobooks from a different folder, so I'll just click here. I'll go to our root folder again. So there is nothing mentioned here. That means it's our root folder. Inside root, we go to mount. Inside mount, we go to data. And inside data, we have media. Again, it's very structured format. And inside media, we go to music, where we have Harry Potter audiobooks here. So you just select OK. Now music has been selected. Same thing, we can do it for the podcast as well. I don't have any podcast as of now, but I can just create another folder here, name podcast. Okay, and submit. So now I can select podcast and I can store all my podcasts there if I'm using any. So this is a general configuration. Okay. All other thing you don't need to change it. If you want to, you can, but it's not necessary to do that. So for now, let's say if I want to change it, I'll just give 2 GB of memory maximum. So it cannot go beyond that. CPU uses, I can say medium. Again, it's very low-end CPU specs, low-end memory specs. We don't need to change anything, but just for the sake of explanation, I'm doing that. And I just do install. Okay, once this is installed, if I click on that, that will open up 192.168.42.47, which is my IP address, and colon 2000. Okay, as you can see, and now it is automatically giving us the initial server setup. So just for the explanation, I'll say, and here you can provide your very secret password, and you can just submit. Okay, so now you should be able to log in by just providing your ID password. I'm just using some dummy password here. Okay, so now that's your libraries here. You can add your first library. So ideally it will automatically detect these things here. You can have your more user, you can create it here if you are sharing this thing with someone else. API keys, if you want to add third-party applications, like connect this to third-party application and whatnot, you can do that there. So for the library, you can just say add your first library. You can just give the name in this case. Okay, I'll just say Harry Potter and browse the folder. So when you browse the folder, since we have given the folder name as an audiobook, you can see that all the audiobooks are here. Okay, so you select the path, select folder path, and now it will automatically detect all the audiobooks from that particular folder. Okay, and if I do scan here, now it will scan everything and it will arrange everything in the same order how the audiobooks are presented. Okay, once it's been scanned, you should be able to see all the audiobooks. I'll just refresh everything. Okay, open Harry Potter, and you should be able to see all the audiobooks inside that. Okay, simple as that. It has everything organized in the same systematic order, so you don't need to define which audiobook is which. In our case, it has automatically taken all the chapters. You can see that everything is here, so that's great. Now let's go to another one of our, and again, since we are talking about it, so we just go to data, and inside app data we can see audiobook. Inside audiobook we see config and metadata. So that's where all the information for this container has been stored. Okay, what I love about CasaOS that if you want to update your Docker container, it's very easy. So in the latest update, they have this version called check then update. If you do that, it will automatically check the compose file and it will automatically update your Audiobookself. And if this doesn't work in some case, you can just go to setting. You can just select here the latest, and if you save it, it will automatically apply the changes and your Docker container is now up to date. In case of Docker desktop or anything else, it takes much longer time. You have to delete the container and you have to install the container. It removes the all hassle in this case, and that's what I love about CasaOS. Second thing, what I'm going to install, it's Jellyfin, because these are the application which my roommates and we are all using it at this point. So you can just go to your app store. Jellyfin and select custom install. We can say stable, latest, it's the same thing in our case. So these are the actual default port for accessing the application. Okay, next step. So if you want to change this port, in my case I don't want to do it, but let's say just for the explanation, I'll say port 1000, and now it's easier to remember for me that my application it's on port 1000. So anyone in my house, I can just say do the 192.168.2.47:1000, and that should give you a Jellyfin interface. Second thing, the configuration, again it will automatically create a config folder based on the app ID, in our case Jellyfin here. Media, so that's where our data will be stored for the movies. So in our case, I'll just click here and change it to the rate configured drive there. So we go to mount in our case, we go to data in our case, media. Since our movies and shows are different folder, I don't want to like provide any one folder. I'll just select a media in our case, since you can create a separate library for movies and separate library for series. Okay, I'll just do that, and now it's my media will be stayed in this particular folder. We don't need to change any of this configuration unless you really want to. You don't need to change any of this thing here. We just simply do install. So again, if you are customizing your containers, what you can do, you can download the configuration as an YAML file, and then you can reapply it directly. You don't need to change any configuration if you are formatting your servers or whatnot. I will show you how to do that once the installation is done. So okay, once this is the installation done, let's say this is our custom configuration. You can just go to setting and you can export your compose file. Okay, once you do expose, I'll just download it to my desktop. Okay, keep, and now I'll open up the YAML file. Let's see. So that's our YAML file, and it's a custom file. You can see that everything is bound as we want. It also has description and whatnot. We usually don't need all of this garbage here at the bottom, the description and everything, but it automatically does that by itself. What we usually need, it's our name of Docker container, services, from where it's actually pulling the data, such as in our case it's taking Linux server / Jellyfin latest. That's the actual image. Where is the icon, what are the port, where we are storing our data. All this configuration will be stayed as it is. So if you want to use that configuration, you just simply go here, do install customize app, you select this one, import, and you drop your Docker compose file. That's it, and it will automatically take all the configuration here. You just simply do install, and now you have your container running as it is. Okay, so let's show you the Jellyfin, and that's going to be the last thing of this video. So English, you can provide your username. Again, I'll create one root user, and then I will create sub user where people can use their medias, right? So this will be my admin or a root user. I can change it afterwards, so that's not an issue. Add a media library. So here we can provide the content type. So you can simply say movies here. Okay, it will automatically detect from where the movies are coming in and whatnot. Inside folder, since we have everything in our media, you go to media. You can see that it's pulling out the information directly. So I'll just say movies here, and every movie which I own, it's here in the movies folder, and I just do okay. Okay, so here it says from where it's actually getting the information. You just say okay. So movies it's created. Same thing, we can do it for the series as well. In our case, it's mentioned as a shows. It can also do music and other things as well, but it's mainly popular for movies and your shows. So you can do again folders, and I'll select series and I'll say okay, there is only one series for now. As long as your series and everything gets structured, it will automatically detect everything you need. So I'll just say okay. Now it has movies and shows here. You simply do next here. Country, state, you can change it if you want. For now I'll just leave it as it is. Remote connection for this server. Okay, you don't need to do port mapping. Since this application is going to be locally installed, I'm not planning to open it to public as well. Finish. And now we can log in and see the things. Once you sign in, it will automatically pull this information. It continues to pull all the information. You can go to dashboard and then you can create more user. So let's say if I want to create my user, I can just say my username, provide a dummy password there, and you can define what kind of access you want to give this user. So what this user can do. So now this user can access all the libraries. Okay, I'll just do save. And for that particular user, now you have other things. So you can say if this person can delete the libraries or not. If you want to allow that, you can say allow. Then you can do other settings as well, like there are a lot of things. There is also parental control, password change, all those things you can do it. No need to worry about everything. Right now I'll just stick with this one and I'll do save. So now another user is created and I'll quickly show you. Okay, I'll just do sign out here. And now this user can access all the libraries, all the movies or shows or whatever we have here. So that's the CasaOS. Now we have more than few applications. Like I personally have few applications which I would like to showcase, but the video will get very long if I am showing every single thing here. So I'll create a separate small videos so it's easier to contain information for a specific application as well. Since I'm using a Tailscale to share my access here, I will quickly do installation of Tailscale. So in order to do that, you can just go to your google.com, okay, and search for Tailscale Linux. Okay, ideally you have to log in, but you can just go to the first link. Okay, so this line of code, again, you should not blindly trust any of the script. You should always check that it's an official website. In our case, it is an official website since I don't have any sponsored links there. So now if I take this link, it will automatically download Tailscale in my machine. So again, I'll go here. I'll go to my terminal. Again, you can access your terminal from here as well. Okay, you can just provide your ID password, but since it's already open here, I'll just use this. It will ask for my password. It will automatically download everything on my server, and then it will ask for authorization here. After we do like Tailscale up or command, like all the information will be given. So let's see. Okay, so as you can see at the bottom, it says you need to do sudo Tailscale up. You can just do sudo Tailscale up. Okay, spelling mistake, sudo Tailscale and up. So once you do that, that's going to give you one of the authorization link. You click on that and you have to log in with your Google account. Okay, so I'll just copy this link here, paste it here, and you simply need to log in. So if you have an account with Tailscale, you can just log in. If you don't, you can create a new account and then log in. In my case, I have created with my Google account, so I'm going to do that. And once I logged in, I will show you how the interface will look. Okay, so once you do that, it's going to say connect, and I will hide my information here as well. So once you do connect here, you can simply just do open your console. Within your console, you will be able to see status approval. Since I've enabled that, it will showcase here that you need to approve the status for this particular server. Okay, I don't want anyone to log in the same interface, so that's why I have created that. And once you do that, once you approve it, you should be able to see under the machine, you should be able to see all the servers or all the machines I have here. You can see the actual IP address of that. So if you click on the three dot here, and you have to do this every single time you have the machine, if you want that machine to be running 24/7. Since my older server name was again K server, I'll remove that. And my newer server which is connected here, the name is again K server. What you can do, you can go to your disable key expiry. Okay, and now the expiration, it's been disabled. Otherwise, by default, after 30 days or 60 days, your connection will be lost, because this thing, it's not going to be connected forever. As you can see, now I have my current computer which is connected, I have my server which is connected, and I have my another server which is hosted on Oracle Cloud. It's connected here. So all the three things is connected, and this one, it's my smartphone. So now I can access this server from anywhere in the world, okay, technically. And I can show you that by just connecting my hotspot and everything. So right now I'm connected to my Wi-Fi. I can just disconnect my Wi-Fi and connect to my smartphone hotspot, and I should be still able to access my servers. So that's the whole idea. It's kind of a private VPN. All this IP address are internal IP address. I'm hiding them because I don't want to showcase that as well. But if you click on any of this IP address, you should be able to go to respective application. So in my case, let's say just for the demonstration, if I go to this particular IP address, okay, this is IP address coming from Tailscale. And now if I do enter, that should open up CasaOS. Okay, it's the same CasaOS interface, but since it's a different IP, you need to log in again as well. You can see the same applications are here. Once I click on any of the application, it's going to open up with the Tailscale IP. It's not going to open up with our local IP address. So that's how you use the Tailscale. If you have any question regarding Tailscale, any question regarding CasaOS, or any question regarding Cockpit, feel free to drop them in comment. And I see the video is again getting very long, but I'll assure you that other videos will be shorter. So that's everything for today, and look out for the next videos where I'll showcase specific Docker application in CasaOS, because it's easy to use it. See you, and wait for the next videos.